Yo, this is Imani Latif of Peep Game Comics. I'm here with my man Tyler Martin of Godhood Comics. How you doing this morning?
What's up, brother? What's up, man? That's a catchy theme song you got there. I'm over here.
I know, right? we dug it in the crates deep to find that track, man. So we can get hype first thing in the morning. So, what's interesting about this program is that I have a personal story behind everybody that I invited onto this into this program, and you happen to be one of the top sellers on our website, Peep Game Comics, and I wanted to bring you on to definitely shed light on what you've been doing, and I know for a fact that you are on the verge of something huge, pretty soon here. So I wanted you to share as much as you can on that, and just give a little intro as to what your comics are about.
Yeah, man. So first of all, I want to say thank you because game was our first time actually in the comic book community as far as selling a book. I didn't want to go through Comixology. I didn't want to go to Indie Planet. I was all about Black owned and just something a little more personal for me while learning it. So, bro, you and Peep Game, you helped me. You helped me learn how to check a marker, how to see what sales I've made, and so I extend that. My growth was essential to Peep Game, so I appreciate that, man.
Man, I appreciate that and those comments as well, for real. Thank you.
Yeah, no, facts, bro. It's the reality. You've helped a lot of new creators, and for underdogs like me, your platform is essential. But yeah, I'm Tyler Martin, guys. I'm the founder and creator, founder and owner of Godhood Comics. We're a small Black indie comic book publisher here in Atlanta, Georgia. ATL, whoop whoop. And we've got right now I've got about 3 books published, working on 4 more at the moment. Mega Woman 1, and Sharpshooter are one of our hits. That's the only thing we have out right now, and those things are still in fast. But one of the biggest projects that we're working on right now is a project called The Antagonist. We just did a $25,000 Kickstarter, which was absolutely amazing. And got just partnered with Black Sands on some things that we're going to work with. So, man, we're pretty excited over here, bro. I'm just so excited. I love the energy that's been coming from the indie community.
Yeah, the indie community has been very interesting lately. I like to say we're in a new Black age of comics right now.
Yes, it's not going away.
No, it's not going away at all. And some people confuse some people get confused. They think that it all started with the Black Panther. Then all of a sudden, all these creators started popping up. But really, for as long as I've been doing it, I've been following the momentum, 5 to 6 years prior to Black Panther. So sometimes
anything we do, they always think it just came out of thin air, right? But in the reality, there's been people working effortlessly and tirelessly behind the scenes for decades to make sure our stories are told. And just being able to be a part of that movement of putting our skin tones and colors on comic book pages is that wakes me up.
Yeah, so I want to get into this antagonist thing because I've always had this idea when it came to Black superheroes, right? That just by nature of the politics behind Blackness and the neighborhoods that they serve and things like that, that their actions, although heroic, will be deemed villainous. So ideally, we've created these heroes, these Black heroes, but somewhere I was always in the back of my mind, I had this inkling that the reality is that they will be considered villains, not heroes. And so when you came up with your idea for your book, it clicked for me.
Absolutely, bro. And I get that a lot. And so I'd say take out the superhero part, right? for generations, Black people have been villainized for generations. I mean, we've always had to play the villainous role. We've always had to be the antagonist of our own stories. And so what The Antagonist is about, it's a book about perception. It's a book about the choices and decisions that we make, and how I was raised by a Black single woman, and especially for our Black women, how Black people will take that label as long as it gets the job done, right? We're okay. Our women are okay. Our ancestors were okay with taking the brunt force of societal labels as long as it got the job done. And I always refer to Malcolm X. Actually, one of our main characters, the dad, Calvin Ebel. He loves Malcolm X just because the thought was Malcolm X was a villain in the eyes of many, and he was a hero in the eyes of most. And so, and what that means is it's a perception base, right? So, what made him villainous? What made him a hero? And so that's what The Antagonist is about, is taking all that, the generations of black villainous and antagonistic tendencies, and putting it on that family. I'm glad you said that, man. You get it.
No, I got it immediately, because one of my favorite characters, and this is sort of like off the wall, but is Moses Magnum in Marvel Comics.
Yes,
and he's a villain, but some of his thought processes that he was some type of environmental terrorist, or he had a cause behind some of the things that he was doing. And it always struck me as interesting that I can see, once we, given certain power, that yes, we would take it there, naturally. And so I think your story is definitely the natural progression of that.
And Black people are the only people. We're the only people that can't make mistakes. We're the only people that can't be aggressive or antagonistic, because we're labeled as the villain. And so what this story is about is it's taking this couple over a 30-year time. It's taking them through all the reigns of what it means to have superpowers, and to be Black and have superpowers, and to know and to discover corruption in the government, to know the truths that we all know that haven't been confirmed. In this book, these things are confirmed. They're actually fact. And so it's like, what would you do, right? What would you do if you knew president was running slave trade in African countries? You know what I mean? You had the power to stop it. Now you're going to be labeled a villain, but are you okay with that? If that means saving others and bringing order to the world. The characters are definitely misguided. The beautiful thing about the Antagonist book is nobody's right or wrong, and then everybody's right and wrong. It's just it's just a matter of who's reading the book at that time. People are going to think my fear is there are going to be a lot of people that can relate to Destructus and Ultima. There's going to be a lot of people who think what they're doing is angelic. There's going to be people who's like, damn, these motherfuckers are crazy. Oh, excuse my language, but it's just that perception-based book.
No, exactly. That's exactly what I'm thinking. So tell me about Mega Women, because that definitely was another big seller of ours. You made ties. You created ties with Greek mythology in this book.
Yeah. And so Mega Woman was my first. We got Mega Woman 3 coming out soon. We got her origin graphic novel. Mega Woman is like my firstborn child. I love Mega Woman. She's what introduced me to the indie community. I am a fan of Greek mythology. I feel like although we have African mythology and all these other mythologies, I feel like for me, Greek mythology helped me become a storyteller, right? I grew up in the 90s. We had the Disney Hercules. I had all these books in the library. I just love Greek mythology. And so I wanted to take the mythology I love and I wanted to make it Black. And, growing up, Zeus was this figure that could take any form, any race. And so in the godhood universe, the gods, they transcend genetics, right? So they pass on power. We pass on DNA. Gods pass on power. And so it was an easy story to create once I came up with that concept that he could come down and assume the identity of a Black man.
Right.
The Black man's DNA, his generics, his traits, and he could create and you can get a Black Greek.
One of the most striking images in that book is Mega Woman fighting a character that looks vaguely like Luke Cage. I was wondering, was that on purpose? that you got Mega Woman
Man,
smacking that dude around.
you know what's crazy is it was kind of a running joke because I really didn't know about Luke Cage for a while. I did not know about Luke Cage for a while, and when I first posted the character of Captain X, I got a comment that said he looked like Luke Cage. Now this was like 2015 when it was the artist could have went back and changed the design. But I went and did my research and looked up Luke Cage and was just reading scenes on Google and stuff like that. I was like, oh yeah, no, we're keeping this. We're keeping this.
Yeah.
Because Luke Cage is such a humble character, but he has the potential to be a fucking, you in his presence. I imagine him as a villain, and so that's when I ran off with. Exactly. I was like, yeah, we're gonna do this. This is a huge guy.
Yeah. That always sticks in my mind. That particular,
which also, and that's actually when I thought about the antagonist.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, so like that stemmed from that idea that like, that hero for hire concept.
Yes.
All right. So then that brings us to your third book. What's the name of that book?
Sharpshooter.
And so like explain a little bit about Sharpshooter. He's sort of like a black Hawkeye /
so type character. I would describe him as Hawkeye meets Daredevil. At the time, I was heavy into LeBron James and watching his journey, and I said, well, if LeBron James was a hero, what would it be like, right? And so he's such a popular character. He's such a popular person that the only way LeBron James could be a superhero is if that people knew he was a superhero. People would have to know LeBron James was a superhero, and so I took the idea of an Olympic gold medal athlete, right? He lost something. He lost his sight, but he has the tech and the billions to invest in optic implants and things of that nature. And so he lets the world know, hey, I'm Chris Hill. I'm the athlete that they tried to kill, and now I'm Sharpshooter. I'm protecting the streets. So it's it's my only character who doesn't have a secret identity. He's out and about.
Right.
So it's just LeBron James inspired.
No, definitely. I can see that. So so it's interesting that on the website, we get a lot of reviews, and there's one review that's been in queue that I refuse to post. It's a negative review, basically saying, oh, this is just a knockoff of, basically popular characters that you might see in Marvel and stuff like that. And it doesn't show any type of originality, but how do you respond to criticism like that, which I'm sure you probably get?
So, man, yeah, I don't get a lot of negative reviews for the most part. I've gotten a lot of support from the community, but there is times that those things come, and I likened it to what we do as fans when we look at Marvel and DC movies, right? Or when we watch Marvel and DC TV show. We have things we want to see and we have things we don't want to see, and so we're gonna comment. And we're gonna listen. I'm a creator, right? And the word in the word is critique, right? So there's always going to be. I love it because, man, I'm gonna make what the fuck I want to make. I'm gonna make what I want to make. That's the beautiful thing about God. I'm gonna make what I want to make. And when we do get those comments, man, you say, hey, make your own. Make your own. And again, I try to be as original as possible. Stories are always, since we were able to tell stories are always reusable. We've heard the same story. We've heard it a lot of times. And it's not about the story. I think it's more so about how you tell it, right? That's the differentiation. And so I take that with a grain of salt, man, and enjoy it. I see when I do get those comments, man, number one, we're not I don't own the company, especially on Instagram. When I get those comments, it's block. But at the same time, I hear them.
No, for sure.
Yeah.
So so you got a lot of books on your plate. How do you handle your workload, your writing load?
And I'm learning that. So what I've learned since the success of the antagonist is all sales have gone up, right? So because the antagonists are not out yet, and they want to see who this guy is, what this company is, how did he do this Kickstarter, what's this story so good. So with success has come very much like I work for myself now. I'm strictly working for Godhood Comics. I'm not employed anywhere or anything.
Oh wow. Okay.
And so I was able to amass a salary and amass a way where I can pay the bills and keep the company rolling. But it's definitely it's me by myself, bro. So it's definitely hard and stressful and tough. It's not for and with anybody in the community, man. All of my friends in the community work tired, are hard workers, man. They work tirelessly, and it's not for the vague of heart. And you see a lot of I was reading posting groups. You see a lot of indie creators who can't take the heat, not because they're weak, but they just can't. They have other duties and responsibilities. I'm lucky enough to live by myself. I'm lucky enough to not have any kids, to be single. But it's definitely hard, man. It's definitely hard.
Okay, I see you. So like, what's your typical day like as far as writing and stuff like that?
So I get up around 5 a.m. I have my sugar-free coffee. Love my sugar-free coffee. I'm a big guy, so I've been cutting off sugar a little bit. But so I'll write. I'll write. I'll check in with my artist. Right. I've got this is the first time I've had 3 books in production at once. So it's very, very stressful as far as I have 3 artists that I'm maintaining. Right. They're sending in work constantly. I'm approving or denying. A colorist, a letterer. You know, it's like at this point, I'm managing a team of like 12 people. And everybody's in a different time zone. Some people are not even in the same country. So I have to be available throughout the day, even when I'm sleeping. These guys, it's to me, for us, it's 3 a.m. And these guys, it's 10 a.m. and they're working and they need responses. So it's tough, man. But I got it on the schedule. I got everybody on the schedule weekly. So when we check in. So
can you speak to that? Because just if you were speaking to like a new indie creator, right? The idea of, okay, you have an idea, you have a book that you want to publish. The first step, as far as not just writing the script, but finding an artist, finding a creative team, or building a creative team around what you're trying to accomplish. I know that a lot of indie creators have very broad, ambitious goals, right? They don't just want to publish a comic book. They want to create a universe. So how would you advise a up and coming indie creator as far as taking their first step, creating their first book?
So this is why, and you've been on one of these rooms with me. This is why I love Clubhouse, because we get on here and I connect with people who can speak to me on a more intimate level, right? Because a lot of the time I'm getting so many DMs and emails I can't respond to them. I just can't. So when you have these kind of platforms like Clubhouse and other podcasting platforms, you get to connect with people. And so to answer that question, what I always tell people is you have to focus on one book at a time. And not even one book at a time. You've got to focus on one page at a time, right?
Yeah.
Once you have your idea, you have your script locked, and you've gone and you've checked out an artist, and you and that artist have communicated. You've got to communicate with this artist as far as what are you capable of? What can you do? Can you do 2 pages a month? Can you do 1 page a month? Make a Woman, I tell the story all the time. Make a Woman took 2 years to make. I was paying the artist. We had a communication. He loved the project. He loved the script, and I was paying him for 2 pages a month. 2 pages.
Okay.
And it out of my own pocket. That's another thing I get asked. So how do you get to fund your book? And the question is, you won't get to fund your book. It's going to come from you. Even some of us vets, it's still coming out of my pockets. And so it's a passion that goes into it. It's a passion of completion. It's a fulfillment that goes into it. Starting out, you're going to use your own money. I tell my story. I went homeless. I was homeless for Godhood. I lost my car. I got my car repossessed. I stopped paying rent. I stopped paying my car just because I had to get towards the end of Mega Woman. I had to get stuff. I had to take 500 I had to get stuff done because I was being so inspired by the rest of the community. I was like, I had to get stuff done. Now I'm not telling people, obviously take care of your business. That was my sacrifice. That's part of my story, and that's why we're here now. But yeah, it's all. I always don't overthink it. Take it, man. Write 1 page at a time. 1 page at a time.
I like that. I teach kids comics, and so I'm actually teaching them how to make one-page comics or make mini comics. You know, I'm trying to get them, like when they come, it's not so much that they don't know how to draw or don't know how to make a comic book. I'm trying to get them to finish.
Man, and
to learning how to finish. Oh, go ahead.
To your point, bro, that's another thing. I'm glad you just said that. You don't have to make a 25-page comic book for your first book, right? Mm-hmm. Give people 5 pages. The Antagonist has 4 planned spinoffs. They're not going to print. They're 8 pages a piece, right? So they'll be PDF on the website where you go in and you read. So what you made an amazing point. Start short, right? Do a 5-page concept. Most people don't realize that when you go to when you're not self-publishing and you go to Image or IDW or Valiant or all these imprint publishers, they want to see the story, and all it takes is 5 pages to sell a concept. All it takes is 5 pages. Especially if you send them 5 completed pages of an amazing story with good art, you can get picked up. So I like that point, brother.
Yeah, we were talking in Clubhouse about what's more important, the story or the drawing or the art, rather. And the reality is, for me, or what's the most important job, the writer or the writer's job or the illustrator's job? And what I've learned is that the story, everybody involved is a storyteller.
Yes.
And the story in and of itself.
You said that, right?
Yeah, I said that. I was basically saying that everybody's a storyteller, so the story is the most important. It's like the writer is telling that story. The illustrator is telling a version of that story. I like what's interesting is Todd McFarlane, for instance, the way his drawing process. For instance, he doesn't draw complete pencils. His pencils are very loose, so that it gives the inker a lot of room to create and add his flair to it. So he adds it, and then so the colorist comes in and add their thing to the story. So they're all part of the story. So it's no one's more important than the other.
Man, absolutely. Let me tell you this, bro. You have to take ego out of creating comic books. There cannot be an ego. And what I mean by that is the way I write is very vague. Because me and the artist and my creative team, we have a conversation beforehand. My job as a publisher and a creator is to tell the best story possible, even if that means I'm not directly responsible. So my artists, my colorists, my colorists, the inkers, they have a certain level of creative control. And they'll say, hey, Ty, I think this is better. Man, the artists on Antagonists, all 3 are amazing because our first artist, Giacomo Guida, he'll take my script and say, listen, I think we should turn this into a splash page and draw it up. And it's perfect. It's exactly what I had in mind, but I couldn't necessarily describe or better than my original idea. And he's been doing that throughout the book, man. And this first issue of Antagonist is really going to lay the groundwork for godhood and the quality of storytelling and art that I'm trying to push.
I haven't forgot about the logo for Antagonist. I'm still brainstorming about that. I really still am a fan of that whole concept. So I'm really looking to become a bigger fan of that whole concept in and of itself.
Yeah.
Can you talk a little bit about character design? And I'm only asking that because when it comes to Black indies and indies in general, what's happening now is that most indies are getting away from the traditional superhero comic book, and most of the indie comics now are definitely, I say most of the most popular ones are definitely into horror, but you have a lot of sci-fi and folklore in comics. But as far as creating superhero comics specifically, what is your process in terms of the character design process? And I want to speak to that only because what tends to happen is it's hard to create a original concept when it comes to superhero comics. And I think you have you have found a way to create, somewhat unique characters with your books.
And I'm going to disagree with you,
Okay.
because it's not hard to. I'm going to tell you how. It's not hard to create original looking characters. I'm going to tell you how, and this is how I see it. As comic book creators, we're essentially playing a role of God. We're essentially, for that universe or for that book, we are God. And so I likened it to God creating 4 billion people on Earth who are all different, right? We're all different. We all look different. We all have different stories. We all have different agendas. And so that's what I do when I'm creating, because I can tell you right now, there isn't a billion. There's not a billion comic book characters, right? In professional comic book or indie, it's still not a billion characters. It can't be. And so what I do is I'm a fan of references for my characters. A fan of references. I take this character, drop that from them, add this to them, blend them together. Telling my artists how I want them to look and feel and what's their emotional state like. And it goes deeper. And I think a lot of creators forget that when you're designing these characters, it has to go deeper than the looks. It has to. It's what that vibe for Ultima, the mom of the antagonist, who is this super lunacy, bloodthirsty and fear-mongering woman who at the same time,
fear-mongering woman.
Yes, she is the most feared supervillain on the planet. She does not play around. But then you see her helping her kids with her homework. Then you see her giving her daughter advice. Then you see her feeding her children. And so I say, well, in that design, how do I establish that? And it was funny because when we were coming up with the design, it's like, okay, I'm going to make sure that when she's doing her damage into when she's destroying, when she's Ultima, essentially, her eyes are always glowing red, right? She's always ready to laser a motherfucker. But when we go through the story and she's with her kids, she's not using her powers. And so I think that that small minor detail, right? When she's in costume, her eyes are glowing red, she's ready. And when she's not in costume, they're not. That small detail adds suspense. It adds, like I said, that fear mongering. So a lot of people think it's just the looks, and it's not. It's how your character walks and talks.
That is a very smart business approach, only because if you think about it, think about hip hop, all of our biggest heroes are villains. NWA, Dre, Cube, Ice Cube.
Yes.
You name it, we have Kanye West, all of our biggest favorite idols, the people that we idolize the most, we hate the most.
Yeah.
Even you mentioned LeBron James earlier. That's like
people hate to love him.
I love to hate him personally. But
yeah, same.
It's like I know I recognize, but just in the same vein, I can recognize his power, I can recognize his talent, and yet hate his guts, which I do. So run down the other characters. Oh, go ahead. What you say?
That's our humanity,
right? So run down the other characters again? So you have Mrs. Of the antagonist.
So we have Destructus and Ultima, who are so the first issue takes place over a 30-year gap, right? We come into it and we see them as this loving family, wealthy Black family, very prestigious in their communities. Mom Tanya Evil is a luxury, respected luxury real estate agent at a luxury firm, and her husband is a prestigious principal at a top high school, and they live in the suburbia of Detroit, and they have 3 kids. The oldest is Trey Evil. Trey is 21. They have a daughter who's 17, Aaliyah Evil, and then they have an 8-year-old whose name is Taj Evil. All these guys have powers as well, but they know they can't use them. They don't know their parents are supervillains or used to be supervillains. They know nothing about it. To them, these are normal parents who discipline, feed, care, and love them, right? And so what we see is a choice that's made by one of the parents that brings all the heat back onto the family. And so the kids have to adapt. The kids have to survive, and it gets real stressful for that family. Division comes and things of that nature. And so, man, I'm excited about this book. This is probably one of my favorites book and the highlight of this book is going to be the highlight of my career in comics.
Now, when does it actually drop?
So our first, and we get this question a lot. And so obviously my first order of business is to make sure my 547 backers have all of their rewards. I'm not even thinking about bringing it. It won't even be on the website until everybody who backed the Kickstarter and supported me through that stressful month,
including
you. Hey, your name already on the list, Doc.
Yeah.
Until all y'all get y'all stuff, bro, I'm not even thinking about when it drops.
Okay.
Because I this is a Kickstarter exclusive. We keep saying that. I keep saying that it's a Kickstarter exclusive, and people have been. Man, I tell you, 3 months later, people still DM and email. I didn't get the Kickstarter. Can I pledge an award? They want a Kickstart, not on Kickstarter. And I've said no plenty of times. I want to show appreciation for our backers, right? So I even tell my creators and my team, like, the antagonist might not be available for other people until 2022. I don't know, and I don't care. I want my backers to be fulfilled.
I know that's a risky idea, but I've been paying attention to the collector's market, and I will say that there's a lot of books that Black creators are making that have amazing amount of value due to the scarcity.
Yes.
And this is whether it's indie publication or published by a major publishing company. It's like the scarcity around Black creative comic books is very high, and I've been noticing that a lot.
Yeah, I have proof of that. My number one selling book on my website is the Mega Woman Special Edition, which only had 25 copies, and every month I have to keep ordering only 25 copies. It's only 25, and it just goes fast. So I'm seeing that firsthand, and I agree. And also to a point, I don't think it's risky in a way that once you guys get your books and you guys take to social media and you guys tell me your thoughts and opinion on it, people are going to want to read it, and that's what I'll respond to. I'm going to respond from that first round because rather to go into mass print, I want to see what you guys thought about it. Right, the guys that put their money on the line to see a project through. That's my concern. And then we'll decide after that's done. Like I said, when you guys get your books, man, if y'all love it, let's go into print. Let's go into print. If y'all don't like the book, I'm just gonna have to. We're gonna extend it. We're gonna make some changes. But this is a Kickstarter exclusive because $25K is a lot of money, and I wanted to show that I appreciate that. People missed the Kickstarter. They apologize, but the people that put their money where their mouth was and supported this thing, man, y'all priority.
I would definitely say I'm learning now, and what's so weird. It's like I came kind of late to Kickstarter as far as supporting a lot of books, but I've been on a tear lately. But I noticed that what I'm seeing now is that those first run of comics, those first Kickstarter runs, those can be worth a lot of money because what I'm seeing a lot of indies do, like yourself, David Crownson, who's going to be on later today, it's like,
can't wait.
You're putting in the work to add value to your books. So it's not just you created this comic book, but it's not just sitting on the shelf. You did an animated little short of the antagonist, which could just as easily turn into a show or something like that. So the value of these first run books, I'll just encourage any collector out there that's been supporting Kickstarters, take special care of these books because I think they're gonna be very rare.
Alana, you make an excellent point because the time backers notice the time and effort you put into a project. I say all the time in Clubhouse and when I'm mentoring, when I'm getting asked how to do a successful Kickstarter, and I always say authenticity, and genuinity. What separates a successful Kickstarter to not a non-successful one? And I've had two unsuccessful ones. I've had two unsuccessfuls. Then my third one was successful with Sharpshooter, and this is my fourth one, which is successful. The difference is authenticity, the quality, value. When you go to a Kickstarter page, you see the preparation. You see if somebody just threw some shit up there, or if it took months and months to come up there, and it was for you guys. And so I always say that to creators: a backer's going to be able. What makes the difference between backing that project and moving on to the next one is quality.
Just real quick, I just want to remind everybody that you're watching the Black Comics Universe presented by Peep Game Comics, exclusively on The Experience. And please help us out by hitting the share, give us a like, and follow. Follow The Experience at @the_exp. Follow Peep Game Comics at PG Comics, COMIX. Follow Godhood Comics on all social media platforms. And if you're if any retailers are out there listening, you can pick up Tyler's books at godhoodcomics.com. I want to touch on something, the Kickstarter, right? And what I've been noticing, what I've been paying attention to is not so much the amount of money. I've been paying attention to the number of backers, right? And I wanted to know, what do you tell people first starting out? How do they hit? It's like you hitting around 500 to 600 some backers, which is not a small number. The average number I've seen is actually closer to like 300 some backers. How do you? So not only do you hit that 500 mark, how do you hit that next 500 group of supporters? Get into that that claim, 1,000 true fans idea. How do you reach that goal past the Kickstarter?
So one of my good friends in the community, Sebastian Jones, creator of Niobe, he helped a lot with our Kickstarter as far as letting us give away his comic book for free and things of that nature. And I always say this, I continue to say this, that what's going to make a successful, not only a successful Kickstarter or just a successful book in general, is that creators have to know this is a business. This is a business. Your story and your book is not enough. You have to build an online audience. You have to build an online audience. I've got 18,000 followers on Instagram, 7,000 followers on Facebook, and then we're working on our Twitter. And so since 2015, effortlessly, I've built this audience, right? I've dropped fire content. Quality of art is huge for me. Since we first started, I've always broke bread on art. I think I'm the type of person that the art is going to put it. You can judge a book by the cover, and that's our humanity. We're going to judge the book by the cover. That's the reality. So you have to treat this like a business. And like any business, when you're trying to sell a product, you have to dress that product up, and you got to make it cute. You got to make it relatable. You got to make it accessible. And so I got a guy the other day on Instagram, and he wanted to know how he's getting ready to launch a Kickstarter. And I go to the page, he has 400 followers. He has 400 followers. And I said, well, I wouldn't worry about the Kickstarter as of yet. That will come. I would worry about putting money into artwork and building your online audience. Build your audience first. It's a business. Sebastian Jones is really good about this. Greg Elise is good about this. Greg Berman is good about this. Marcus Williams is good about this. Alonzo Starr is good about this. They have built an audience where, and I call them comic loyalists, where when these guys, for example, with the antagonists and what we've created, I think anytime my next Kickstarter, I know my next Kickstarter is going to do way more than 25K because of the authenticity, because of me responding to DMs and talking back, and just building that community around Godhood Comics. So it's a business, and creators forget that you have to treat it like you don't treat you have to treat it like a business. I didn't for my first 2 Kickstarters. I thought I could put some good art up and boom, boom, boom. And I was like, well, I remember when I did Mega Woman, I tried to do a Kickstarter for Mega Woman 3, and it wasn't successful. And I was asking for $3,000. I'm like, what the hell? And people didn't know Mega Woman. You can't do a successful Kickstarter if people don't know you or your character. And when I say character, I also mean your character. So you're selling yourself. We brought Todd McFarlane up. We bring up Stan Lee. The best book creators, they sell you themselves first. So that's my advice.
Well, that's interesting because I have 2 questions. So you mentioned that you didn't necessarily know who Luke Cage was, which brings up an interesting point. What was your entry point into comics?
So my entry point into comics didn't necessarily start with comics. I'm a 90s kid, and that was the epitome of cartoons. And so my segue for a long time of storytelling, for a very long time, I didn't pick up my first comic book until I want to say early middle school, 7th, 8th grade. And for a lot of people who had been reading comics their whole lives, that's late in the game. I mean, so the X-Men, the 90s X-Men cartoon, and all of that, and the Avengers cartoon, and my favorite Gargoyles, all these cartoons, and then I realized that this was for me seeing the X-Men in the 90s was the first time. That's the first. Wow, who was his team? But they had a 75-year comic, comic lore, and so that's when I started reading comics. My first comic book was a Blade comic book. That's my first comic book, was a Blade comic book, and he was in there with Elektra. It was a book about him and Elektra, and I forgot it to this day, and it might have even been wrong, but I got to find that book. And so that was my first segue into comic books. And so from then I just started reading, and I probably came across Luke Cage or heard about him. I'm not gonna say I didn't know him. I don't know. But as far as that design, I didn't, because I'm a type where I try to stay as far away as hell from any type of design that's going to be very similar. So that's one of my career flukes is having that character look exactly like him. But once I started reading into him, I thought it was an honor. I thought I was like, hell yeah, get this guy in here.
No, I thought it was perfect. I liked it. No, but and I only say that because especially coming out of the 90s, so many Black indie creators idolize the Image founding members, right? And basically that culture where comic books had superstars that had that, these creators had, celebrity clout, around the things that they were making. Do you see yourself? And I have to admit, you are one of the most, you got the most swag out of most indie creators. Most indie creators are like, t-shirts and and jeans. Like, man, your Instagram is, you deck out most times. Now you take it serious, right? So I wonder if, and I've always, and on that, I'm always saying that someone's definitely going to come in and do the celebrity thing in comics. They're going to, it's like comic books needs a P Diddy. They need Tyler. They need a I can't even think of his name, but Madea. People hate him, but
man, you hitting waves today, bro. And so I'm from Atlanta, man. I'm from Atlanta, right? These motherfuckers, they're not reading comics. You know what I'm saying? They're not reading comics. And even in school, man, I was so cool in school. I was the guy. I was hanging out with the wannabe rappers and the star athletes. I even played football, but I was always so vocal that I like cartoons. I like comic books, and there was a respect that came of that when I was in high school. And I'm walking around with these comic books, and I'm talking about Dragon Ball Z. But people are like, "This, he's so true to himself. He knows what he likes." And you know what? We like some of the same stuff. We didn't know we did, but we didn't think it was cool that we did. And I'm into hip hop. I'm into fashion. I love Kanye West. Kanye West was a great point earlier. I love Kanye West. I love sneakers. And so, like, when people see me, first off, they wouldn't respect me to somebody who spends a lot of his time in comic book shops or writing or that. And so that's a good point. And that's my goal, is to expand. I was a high school teacher originally. That was my career. That was my background.
Oh wow, okay.
Yeah, I resigned. Almost going on 2 years ago now. I resigned to do comics full time. I just do it. I'll be 20. I'll be 30 in April. So I didn't want to. I didn't want to be turned 30 in education. I was getting tired of it. But I turned so many high school, middle school age kids onto comic books, right? Because for a lot of Americans, and especially in our community, like you said, Black Panther was the first for them. And we can't deny what Black Panther did for me and you as far as comic book creators. Is it got a whole new generation interested into comics. And so all my cool friends, everybody who, they dress nice and this, every time WandaVision episode drops, they're texting me saying, well, what happened? What's this related to? Right. Or what happens on here? I'm that comic info guy. And yeah, man, it's been a blessing, bro. It's been a blessing. I appreciate that though.
Oh yeah, definitely. And so what's on the horizon for you? Because I think a lot about the fact that when I think about Black audiences, when it comes to comics, that the truth of the matter is when it comes to comic books, we're definitely appealing to people that are early adopters. We're appealing to you talk about the life cycle of a product. Basically, you're a business person. So definitely we're at this stage where we're dealing with early adopters, that first part of that, bell curve. Mm-hmm. And now we're trying to get into that, the mass market or the big heel part of that bell curve. And what I noticed is that without additional media, I wish with just a comic book alone that we could break that into that mass market. But the reality is, it seems like it takes a movie or a cartoon or something of that nature to really, make that leap. And I was just wondering if that was your ultimate goal.
Yeah, man. And so I want to let for me, I'm hungry, brother. I am hungry. I have no plans in stopping. And I'll tell you a quick secret. A couple people know I strategically created the antagonist strategically for an adaptation.
Okay.
Some kind of adaptation. And even right now, man, I've been busy at work. I'm working with some producers and some graphic designers, and we're creating a pitch. And so we're starting our pitch trail in August. We got some appointments lined up and stuff like that. But I'm hungry. There's no excuse why a lot of our stuff, when conventions were here and they're coming back, they're definitely coming back. You had producers whose job it was to scour a convention and look for IP, right? To scour it. And so, like, it goes back to building that audience. I think let's say we pitch, right? And Kickstarter is, you've seen Image and all these other people they're going to Kickstarter now. Kickstarter is a gateway. But if I'm a producer and I see the antagonist and the pitch is amazing, right? I read the comic book, so the pitch is perfect. The comic book series is amazing. But then I go to Godhood Comics Instagram and I see the love and the support and the audience that was built behind it.
Right.
And so I dare and challenge creators, my close friends and those that I don't know yet. I challenge them that when you're creating this content, you have to see it as something bigger than yourself and bigger than the IP itself. We create comics. We love comics. It's okay to just create a comic book. That's not what I'm saying. But you have to, there's a bigger picture. There's a bigger picture because what we have up here, Danny J. Quick, Morgan Iverson, or Defeace John, Tony Clapper, what we have up here, the world needs to see it.
Yep.
So it doesn't need to be limited into one category. Right? Because people didn't know about Black Panther. There's people who didn't know about, he's been around, like you said, since 60 something or 71. And people didn't know about him. The movie was people's first introduction. So that's a gateway into comics. And I see TV, film, and animation as a gateway for more people to come to Godhood Comics website. So I'm working very hard, brother, and it will happen. I challenge everybody, get those things adapted. Get this.
Yeah, I was just on your page not a few days ago. You were asking about collaborating on printing, and my response to that was, don't worry about printing, worry about the IP. Only because I share this memory all the time. We did a watch party for the Black Panther, and the first people to show up were three Black women over the age of 70 who had never picked up a comic book ever in their life, didn't know anything about Black Panther. They thought originally it was the Black Panther Party. They didn't know, whatever, right? They didn't know, had no idea what it was about.
So many people.
But they came, dressed in their kente, head wraps, ready to watch the movie. And so when I saw that, I realized that, yeah, definitely, comic books, I love the medium as an art form.
Absolutely.
But definitely when you were stepping into this world of business, as publishers, as owners of this IP, definitely you have to look towards the future in ways that you can make your character and your story more accessible.
And that's what came with the animation. That's why that was such a successful stretch goal, because again, yeah, we want to hear about this story, but I want to see this thing in animated. I want to see and you owe it to your fans to expand it across multiple medias. Like you said, comic book as the art form is essential. Everything stems from a comic book nowadays, and it always has, right? Even storyboarding. One of my mentors told me, if you can write a comic book, you can write any other medium, because in there you have your blocking and your stage cue for playwrights. You have your storyboarding for film. You got your dialogue for TV. You got your action for animation. If you can write a comic book, you can write anything. I mean, there's no limits to what we can do as creators. And so what I hope to do, man, my end game, Imani, is to open up this door from our indie community all the way to adaptation.
Okay.
Right? After I adapt what I want to adapt, I would love to be that point and that connection with indie creators and studios. Right. Would love to make those connections. That's my end game.
Right. And what's been amazing about the last year is that a lot of indie creators are making that leap.
Yes.
I'm seeing more and more press releases like that. Yes, successfully too.
And successful. I mean, look at Sebastian Jones and his HBO. I always go back to one of the first ones that really made way was Jason Piperberg and Dennis Lee on their Netflix deal with Raising Dion, right? And that's one issue.
Right.
But the art and the story and the audience they built was essential.
Right. Yeah, you're right. You're absolutely right.
And with Sebastian and how he made Niobe look like Amanda Steinberg, and there was that connection. He strategically inserted her to get her attention or whatever the case may be, and now what's happening. What I did with the antagonist, I said, look, I want dad to look like Jamie Foxx. I want mom to look like Gabrielle Union. I want the oldest son to look like Michael B. Jordan, and strategically insert those characters, and hopefully, man, if they ever see one or whatever, they can see themselves in that character. So it's a game, man. It's a business.
Yeah, I definitely saw that, made that connection. I definitely saw Michael B. Jordan with his hands taped up. I said, okay, I see what he's doing.
Oh, that's smart, exactly. Good.
Real quick, just before we head out, can you shout out your artists? Your creative team.
Yeah. So our man, the Antagonist creative team. And real quick, I'll say this because I want to share this. I haven't told anybody outside the creative team. The Antagonist comic books hit so many hiccups. Our first artist for issue 1 took the money and ran.
Oh wow!
Paid him up half front. Gave me 8 copy and pasted pages, mediocre pages, and ran. Our original issue 3 artist disappeared. We were talking for months. Had an amazing conference call, video call, and he signed his contract, and then I just stopped hearing from him. And so it was the delay. It was a delay, and there's going to be a delay. But he stopped answering calls, and I became worried about him. And still to this day, I'm still worried about him. I've reached out to family and friends of him who can't get in contact with him. And so, we all collectively fear for his health and safety. But I had to get a book done. So I had to replace him with another artist. But yeah, man, issue number 1, Giacomo Gita, amazing. I always say this, if you ever see me when I'm looking for artists, I say must be comfortable with drawing Black features, right? Hair, nose, etc. You've got to be good because we are a people. We are, we look a certain way. And in my experience, I've met a lot of artists, bro, who do not know how to draw Black hair, who do not. That's the one thing about Mega Woman number 1 that I regret. That's the one thing about it. It should have been blacker. But yeah, Giacomo Gita is very good at understanding Black hair, Black style, Black swag, and how we walk and how we talk. So shout out to him. Issue 2 artist Matteo Illuminati, same guy. He's working on Dorfeus's book. He's a guy that can pump out 4 pages in a week, 4 to 5 pages a week easily.
I think he does a lot of work with 133 Art too, right?
Yeah, he worked with Robert Jeffrey. Robert Jeffrey on Mind to Avenge. And so he's amazing. These guys, again, they understand the style of Black people. And then my third artist, who I did not know could do sequentials, he's been doing covers for me for years. Is Francesco Tomazelli. He's been doing covers for me for a long time. He did the cover for Sharpshooter. And he's doing sequentials now. He's been doing them, and he sent them to me. I'm like, bro, why am I just now getting these? Issue 3. And so, and then we just signed on an amazing colorist, man. So, his name is let me look at that. I don't want to get this wrong. Our colorist is named Mirza Rewind. Amazing guy. So, and then Brent Fowler, our letterer. Brent has been doing work for the indie community. It's on Kickstarter. His specialty is designing the Kickstarter page, and that's how we initially met. He designed. We hired him to design our antagonist Kickstarter page, and didn't know he was lettering. I'm like, bro, you were the letterer. Let's put the name on this project. And so, man, the team is working hard, bro. We are working hard through all of those hiccups. It's been a very stressful, long ride, but we are committed to getting these books done, and we're committed to these backers.
All right, man. I appreciate you coming on, and I'm glad we've actually been trying to put this together for a minute. So I'm glad I held out for this moment. You get put you on a bigger stage, man.
Hey, man, I woke up at 9:30 for you, brother. It's good. It's good.
I'm really excited for what's next for you, man. So please check him out at godhoodcomics.com. We're about to move on to our next guest, and I appreciate you coming through, Tyler.
Imani, I appreciate that, brother. How do I continue to watch the next guest?
Oh, you can go to the experience on Facebook. We've been on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch. So any number of those channels, you can find us.
Definitely got you, brother. I appreciate that, man.
All right, man.
Stay in touch, brother.
Yep, and then shoot questions too.
Heard. I got you.
All right, boss.
All right, brother.